Dean had met the guy the very day they opened the doors to their new venture. Since that time, Dean had worked dozens of cases with a tough ex-Atlanta homicide detective. Wade was a take-no-shit kind of guy, a man who didn't have much time for emotions but was more about action. Dean liked the guy, he respected him, and he knew Wade's secrets. But he doesn't know mine. Only one person at Lost did, and Gabe was a fucking vault. The man didn't share the secrets that his friends gave him. "Want me to take that one?" This voice was softer, feminine, and belonged to Dr. Sarah Jacobs. Sarah was petite, with dark chocolate eyes and jet black hair. She was also the person on the team he normally avoided the most, since Sarah was the one who liked to screw with minds. She was the shrink, the profiler who slid into killers' minds far too easily, mostly because that was a family skill. "Emma Castille is 25, self-employed with no family in the New Orleans area," Sarah began. Shit, so she'd been researching Emma. He shouldn't have been surprised. After all, he was the one who'd originally tipped Sarah off about Emma, and now that Emma thought she was joining their hunt, well, the whole team would need to know about her. "She's a scam artist," Dean said, but then he frowned. Those words just felt wrong. He had a flash of Emma's bright eyes, her winking dimples. He shook his head. "No." The words sounded like an angry growl coming from him, and he saw Sarah glance his way in surprise. "Her father was a con artist. About 10 years ago, he said that he'd figured out who abducted the two Donovan twins. Twin girls who'd gone missing from a rich suburb in Dallas. The parents had been frantic. A ransom note had arrived, demanding $1 million. The ransom had been paid immediately, but the girls hadn't been returned. The days had stretched into weeks, and the Donovans had grown desperate. The mother had started calling in psychics to help her find her daughter. One of those so-called psychics had been John Castille and his daughter Emma. John had spent time at the family home, talked with the twins' friends, and suddenly he'd been saying that he knew where the girls were, that he knew who'd taken them. "I remember that case," Wade said quietly as he gave a slow nod. "Castille pointed the finger at one of the twins' boyfriends, right? A kid named Philip Trumaine. Only the guy just happened to be the governor's nephew, so no one bought the story." "No," Dean said as he rubbed the back of his neck. "No one bought it." They were in Jackson Square, seated at a bench under the sprawling branches of an oak tree. No one else was close by, and Dean figured this was the most privacy they were going to get right then. "John Castille was right, though," Sarah said. Dean wasn't surprised that she'd found out all the details of the story. When it came to killers, Sarah was an expert. He and his daughter located a property that belonged to the boy's family. They went out to the old cabin, and when they went in, the boy attacked them. Because the kid had long since lost his grasp on reality. He'd been in that cabin with the dead girls and the money, and he'd gone at John Castille with a knife. When the police finally arrived, Sarah continued as she stood and walked closer to the tree, only Emma and her father were still alive. He made it to the hospital, he backed up her story, and then he didn't make it out of surgery. No, he hadn't, and Emma had been left alone. Wade gave a low whistle. "And that's the woman we're protecting?" Actually, Dean craned his head to the side. Emma was walking toward them at that moment. She was wearing a light blue skirt that floated around her hips, and a white t-shirt that molded itself so very well to her, especially to her full breasts. Her dark hair was loose around her shoulders, and a pair of sunglasses covered her eyes. She was beautiful, too sexy, and trouble. "That's the woman." Wade shot to his feet. Sarah turned to face her, cocking her head as she studied Emma's approach. Emma had left him a few hours earlier. She'd asked for his protection.